We're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. So if you get a cup of coffee, get a glass of water, because I know it's hot some of the places in the world, and we'll be with you in just about 3 minutes. And just so you know, this is the Buzzworthy book Power Hour, and you're going to get to see live coaching, or should I actually say mentoring? Because that's what I do. I'm a book marketing mentor, and I work with my clients to help them achieve outcomes that they want. And I don't tell them what to do, I help them discover their own inner ability to be the best and to get where they want to go. So, just 2 more minutes, and we will see you. So here we are. It is the minute before the top of the hour, and I want to add to my stage my guest today, Diane Wolf, who is the author of 14 Nights to Better Sleep. Did I do that right? I think I did it
Yes,
right.
you did.
Okay. And what we're going to be doing today is an experiment. This is my second uh, live stream. And what is going to happen is Diane's going to tell us what is her biggest challenge with getting her book out there in the world and where she would like to go. And then I'll help her and guide her so that we can have some real time changes to get you a better traction. So, how does that sound, Diane?
That sounds fantastic, Judy. Thank you.
Okay. So, why don't you tell people a little bit about your background? Because I think it's fascinating. And oh, one more thing before we actually get started, and you'll be able to see this right down below, that if you enjoy this type of live transformation, you can apply too. And all you have to do is go to bookmarketingmentor.com/BZ hyphen coach one. And if you can't remember all that, if you go to buzzworthybooks.com, you will find it too. And that's right under my picture. So, Diane, now let people get to know who you are. And I just, everything that you have told me so far, and you keep adding layers to all of these. I mean, this is the most talented woman I think I've met in ages. So tell people more about you.
All right. Well, I'm a retired business professor. I've been in love with neuroscience for over 40 years. After I left my teaching position at the university to look after my mother, who had dementia, and after she passed away, I decided to return to my first love of psychology, and I became a psychotherapist. And I am in private practice. I work primarily with first responders who've been diagnosed with PTSD and are unable to work. And I noticed right away that a hallmark of PTSD is people have difficulty with sleep. Either they have difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep or both. About 40 some years ago, I did my honors thesis with a renowned sleep researcher. So, sleep has always been something I've been very interested in. And I'm an ex insomniac. I am a night person who, for years, has struggled with getting to sleep. And then when the alarm goes off in the morning, I feel like I'm in a coma and want to cry. So, I've also worked really hard to find my sweet spot, and I have become a super sleeper. Over the last few years, I've realized it's not just my clients who have trouble sleeping. Uh, we are living in a sleep deprived society. Many of the people that I know in my friend circle have gone through menopause and have found that they become lighter sleepers or a whole hormonal issues with menopause. And so I decided I really had to do more research on how other people could become a super sleeper like me. And so I kept saying the same things to people over and over. Try this, try this. Here's an idea. And so I decided I had to write a book so I could get that out to the bigger audience. So the book 14 Nights to Better Sleep is basically a 2-week program where every day you make a small change. I explain the science behind why you should make that change, but it's not a big textbook. I decided that people who are sleep deprived don't want to do a big lot of reading. It's only 30 pages, but every day it says, try this, and here's why. And at the end of the 2 weeks, people are finding that they're sleeping much better.
Wow. I have had trouble sleeping forever. And I think one of the things that really surprised me is as a kid, I wouldn't take naps. Oh, boy, I was so awful. I would not take naps. And I didn't start taking naps until I was in college because I had early classes and I was a theater major. So I had early classes. I would go to school, then I'd go to work, then I'd come back and I'd rehearse till 1 or 2 in the morning. Consequently, I couldn't do an 8-hour sleep cycle because it didn't fit in my schedule. It was
Right.
not possible. And I hated the alarm clock, because it was like 6:30 in the morning,
Oh,
which is not, I mean, I naturally do wake up that time, but not if I have stuff going on. So
sure.
I had, I've had periods in my life where I slept really well. And then, as you said, hormones went whoop,
Oh,
the
oh,
balloonie town. And what really threw my sleep off, and I still am having some issues with it. When I went through chemotherapy, um, and most people who've gone through chemo will say this, well, so that ship sailed. And there are times when I'm really good, and other times I just go, oh, if I'm up, I'm going to be up. And
yeah,
I don't stress about it anymore.
good.
I just I allow my body to do that. And I did what you tell people not to do. Don't try to catch up on the weekend because you really then you're screwed up forever. So that's one of the things that you did because you deliberately switched from being a night owl to being getting up when the other people in your family get up.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned not napping. I stopped napping when I was a year old. And my mother went to the doctor and said she's not napping anymore. And the doctor said maybe she doesn't need to nap. And my mother said, I need her to nap. So I've always been high energy, undiagnosed ADHD, definitely, a little frenetic. But when you say, you do what I told you not to do, and that's catch up sleep on the weekend, everything I offer in my book, I look at it like a buffet dinner. So I ask people to look through and what seems appealing to you and seems like it would make sense, try that. If something else doesn't work, then don't worry about it. If you are one of those people who really can catch up a bit of sleep on the weekend, fine. Normally, that can disrupt our regular sleep cycle. But when we are sleep deprived, at some point, we just decide we have to do what we have to do to get through the day. But on the whole, if you want to become a super sleeper, you want to establish very, very consistent patterns so that you train your brain that at this time I go to sleep and at this time I wake up. And that's certainly the easiest path to being a super sleeper is consistency.
Oh, definitely. Well, I've noticed I'm better. I have a more regular wake up than I do going to sleep because well, you didn't nap, and it says I think it is the ADHD because we both have it. that there's this like, I've got all the stuff to do and I want to do more and I don't want to miss anything. And
Yeah.
so I didn't want to go to bed.
No.
And I still don't want to go to bed, even though I can be, like falling on my nose. And my husband and I don't sleep exactly the same hours.
Hmm.
So that can be a problem. Oh, can I ask you a question about that before we get
Of
into
course.
your
Yeah.
issues? Because I
Yeah.
think sleep is so important, and as creatives, there is a tendency to try to stretch the time that we're awake, even if that's not good for our bodies. And it affects everything. It
Oh, it
not
is.
as resourceful.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of goofy stuff that comes up on that. But you were able to switch your clock completely.
Well, I wouldn't say I've been able to switch it. I've been able to train my brain. So I go to bed every single night at the same time. And now that I've been doing that for so long, 365 days of the year, I go to sleep very easily. I don't always feel
Oh,
tired necessarily, but it's time for bed. I think because I'm still a night person by nature, if I were to say, I'll just wait until I feel tired, some nights it might be 11 or 12, but that'll mess up my schedule. So
yeah.
regardless of how I feel, I go to bed between 9:30 and 10 every single night. And I listen to my audiobook for 15 or 20 minutes, and that just puts me right out. So
Yeah.
if I wasn't tired when I went to bed, when I climb into bed and it's the same time every night and I put in my earbuds, my body goes, oh, we know what to do. It's time to go to sleep. I don't think you change your internal circadian rhythms. If you once a night person, always a night person, but
Yeah.
I always get up at 7 o'clock, 365 days of the year, never sleeping in, which
Yeah.
means by 7 o'clock, I'm ready to get up because I've had enough sleep. And then by 10 o'clock at night, I'm ready to go to sleep because I've been awake long enough.
Oh, well, see, that makes sense. But there's something that has been coming up, and some people might think it's controversial. Um, this idea that it's really, I'm going back to the I Love Lucy days. That, back in the old days when they pretended people didn't actually have conjugal relationships,
Right. Yeah.
everybody was in a single bed.
Yes.
And now we have all these ginormous beds, and I mean, I have a split king
Hmm.
because for a while, um, well, I'm a restless sleeper. I'm going to be the first to admit it, but
Yeah.
it wasn't because of me. For a while, my husband had to use us. He has sleep apnea, and
Of
he had
course.
to use a CPAP machine. Which, if any of you don't know what that is, it's the devil's own device on one side, but on the other side, people now are not dying in their sleep. They're not stressing their heart, but the thing is obnoxiously loud, and it is very disturbing. It's not comfortable for the other person. It's not comfortable for the person. I even have it. He's not having to use it anymore, but we still have the mask just in case. And so there's a thing. I mean, there's a trend, I think, for people to have separate bedrooms for
Yes.
that reason.
Yes.
So where do you stand on that?
Well, that's really interesting. So I completely separate romance from sleep. We're talking two different issues. I do not need to sleep cuddled up to my husband in order to be romantic. And the interesting thing is, I mean, for years we had a queen size bed. And I
Yeah,
noticed we lived in Europe, and in Europe they have two single beds, often pushed together. But they don't
right.
have queen size beds. And I remember initially thinking that wasn't very romantic. But my mother, who is German, always had two single beds. And at
Mhm.
some point I thought, why do we have this queen size bed? My husband is a furnace. He sleeps hot. I get cold. So we can't even share a comforter. He's always pushing
Yeah,
it down. And then my back, or, I would not have. So at some point, maybe 15, 20 years ago, we got two single beds, saved my
yeah.
marriage, best thing ever. So
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
but if we
Okay.
separate our feeling from, if I'm not sleeping in the same bed with my husband, it means our marriage is in trouble. Where did you get that idea? Right?
I think
Separate
from the
from,
movies. I think
oh,
from the
from the
movies.
movies.
My doctor has said it. Not just one doctor, several doctors said the exact same thing. And those of you who sleep really well already have discovered this, but there's still this reluctance to give into that. Now, your book is pretty universal. So where's the challenge that you're having in getting it into the hands of people who need to read it?
Well, I think the marketing, and that's where you come in, right? That's your area of expertise. I mean, it's on Kindle, it's available. But now what? I put it out there, and I loved what Robbie Samuel said in his recent book about, book marketing is like a triathlon. And I think he said writing it is the swim part and the bike part is sort of, the processing and producing it. But we can't forget about the running part, which is the third part of a triathlon. And that's all the marketing. And I laughed because I thought, okay, I've got the swim bike done. I haven't
Well,
done
and two, and then you hit a health issue on top of it, and there wasn't any more gas in the tank.
no.
So I mean, now you're recovering from that. But what happens when you think about marketing? Tell me what goes through your head. Is there like, just describe your relationship with marketing?
Okay. So I used to be a business professor, so I have intellectual knowledge about marketing, but I'm also a procrastinating perfectionist. And so I probably think, yeah, I'll do that someday. Yeah, I'll get to that. Yeah, I might deal with that. But again, like you mentioned about having so many things to do, it's not like I ever sit down and go, oh no, my to-do list is all done. What will I do with myself? So it's just really easy to prioritize everything else that I do. And I think if I had a really clear plan, I like step-by-step plan. If you said, do this and then do this and do this, I'm good with formulas. I have a science background, right? I'm really good with clear formulas. I'm not good with the creative, think it all up and imagine stuff. That's not me.
Well, that's what this does. My
Mm.
Buzzworthy book attraction planner, it takes you step by step. And you're absolutely right. I look at marketing. Now, I'm going to give you a way to think about it that, let me see if this resonates with you.
Okay.
You cook. You don't cook, you might not cook a lot, but you do cook.
Yes, I can
And
cook.
okay, when you think about cooking and you want to make something and you don't know how to do it, what would you do?
In the olden days, I would open up one of my myriad of cookbooks because I love to collect and read cookbooks, even though I don't like cooking. Now I would just Google the recipe on Recipe Pro.
Okay, so you did look at a recipe. So that's the
Oh,
thing that I want you to think about.
absolutely.
So it is
Yes.
it is the recipe. If you think about it, that marketing, you have a recipe for marketing, and you mentioned something else. You said you don't have a plan yet, and that there's all these other things going on. So if you think of marketing, it's a recipe. So you need to find out, what are the ingredients I need? How long is it going to take? And what do I feel like eating today?
Mm,
So that you're choosing the recipe that you actually want to enjoy.
right.
And the enjoy part is critical, in my opinion. It is absolutely critical. If you pick a recipe, because we know there are all these bro marketers out there who tell you to do things that I will never endorse. So that isn't fun. I mean, I can see on your face, you're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But if you pick things that you have an affinity for, that feel good to you, just like any habit, with your sleep habit, in fact, that you're more likely to repeat that than if you don't. That sound good to you?
That makes sense. I'm laughing as you say that because I'm thinking of cooking and I might look up a recipe with all these great vegetables because I love to eat vegetables, but I hate to chop vegetables, so they'll just rot in my fridge.
Oh, well, I've got, okay. Some people know this and some people don't. So I am a recipe hacker, and I have been since I was about 9 years old. I can deconstruct anything that I taste. If I go and I taste a meal, I'll figure it out. I can go home and make it if I want to.
Yeah.
I don't always, but like, there used to be, there was a soup restaurant in San Francisco called Salamagundi, and I'd go in there and they'd have a soup, and I go, oh, I know what went in that, and I'd go home and I'd make it. It wasn't rocket science, and it was before we had the internet. So I would really, I might not have the cookbook, but I could figure out what the pieces were. And that's kind of the same thing with marketing. If you like the way something feels or the way something
Mhm.
tastes
Mhm.
or that it makes your brain feel, you'll do more of it.
Mhm.
And as a neuroscience expert, you know that our brains are, and because we're neurospicy too,
Yes.
if you can give yourself a little hit of dopamine, whoa, suddenly you can say, okay, so this is what if you got to do one, tell me one thing. If you could see where you want to go, just give me your blue sky. I would be so excited if my book did X. Tell me what that would be.
I guess if my book got me more speaking engagements so that I could reach a wider audience.
Okay. So now let's see. We're here now. And by the way, Diane is a world-class speaker. She is an incredible presenter. But she wants to do more of that. And she wants her book to be the vehicle that does that.
Yeah.
So if you picture that as where we want to go, what would be the steps that would help you get there? And so you've got your book,
Mhm.
and there's ways that you can use your book. So my clients in the past have done similar things. They had a book, they wanted to, get on more stages. And I said, well, okay, there's a there's several different approaches you can take. One very easy thing to do, take a look at what's the content in your book and where are you currently sharing it. So where are you sharing the content right now? I know you've been a guest on my bistro,
Yes.
and
Yes.
yeah. So where else have you shared your content?
Yeah, I've been on like done podcast interviews and things like that. Um, so
Okay,
yeah, I have been out speaking about it, but I haven't done a lot of social media stuff. Again, lack of time. It's lower on my priority list because I'm really busy. But if I
yeah,
had a specific plan instead of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and waiting to see what hits, that would help because my time is very limited because I have a full practice as a psychotherapist.
exactly. Well, something you might want to think about. Would you have a half an hour in the week that you could spend on sharing your book?
Yeah, I
You
could.
think
I
you could
could
do that?
carve out half an hour. Sure, I could.
Okay. An approach that you might consider is, so if you say, you're putting it on your calendar, this is the half
Mhm.
hour I'm going to spend sharing, then you could pick different activities that you like to do
Mhm.
and use that half hour for those activities.
Mhm.
Whether you just say, I'm going to do more speaking, because you could do more speaking.
Mhm.
It could be that you're looking at who have you worked with in the past where you've been a speaker. Do they know you have a new book?
Mhm.
So start looking at, I only need to spend this amount of time, and it has to fit your budget. That's the other thing. I always start right there. I start with people's time budget and
Yeah.
their dollar budget, because if those two things are in conflict, you've already sabotaged yourself.
Mhm.
So you have to be reasonable. And my feeling and what's proven to be true, it's consistency over quantity.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like sleep, right? Just like with sleep.
Exactly. Exactly. And you said something else. Neurospices tend to be perfectionists.
I know.
So, yeah. So, what happens? Have you found yourself spinning out of control? Well, I could do this and I could do that and I could do this and this, but I can't
Totally.
do it. I can't because it's not going to be perfect. And so I don't even do anything.
Totally. That's me. Yeah.
Okay. And I know how good you are. I know how good. So, one of the things to consider, and I want you to put on your calendar right now when you're going to spend, and you could break it up. That 30 minutes,
Mhm.
break it up. you could say, I'm going to do 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, or I'm going to do 10 minutes, I'm going to do 15. And then I'm going to do 5. And then I'm going to do another, so you get to, the number doesn't have to expand. You could choose to do that, but you don't have to expand it. So
Okay.
you create the time box, and you are very familiar with the time box method,
I am.
which means whatever you can get done in that framework is what gets done. However well you do it is what gets done. It's a neurospicy guardrail.
Yeah.
You will. And I
Very
know
true.
because I use it too.
Yeah.
So suddenly now, each time you complete your time box that you said you were going to do,
Mm-hmm.
your little brain is going, oh, it's lighting up. It's going, I like that.
Yeah.
And then
That's true.
you'll do it again. And then you'll do it again. So you're training your brain, just as you did with sleep,
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy what you're doing because number one, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this, oh, for 24/7, I'm going to do marketing until I can't stand the word, and then I'm not going to do anything because
Yeah.
it's like going to the gym on the first day of the year. We all know there's all these people show up, and you never see them after the first week. They
Very true.
aren't doing it.
Yeah. I go every Wednesday after school because I go with my granddaughter. So that's
Exactly.
non-negotiable, and it always happens because it's in my daybook.
That's the same thing with marketing. You make a date with yourself and you get to pick what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you like writing, then you do more of that. If there's something that's already working for you, and speaking is one of your superpowers.
I like doing
So
videos. I would do videos.
perfect. So you could say, I'm going to spend my 30 minutes, and you could change it up during the month. You say, this week I'm going to spend my 30 minutes doing video. And that can be a lot of different things. It could be, what are some of the things that come to mind when you think about doing video for your marketing?
I've done a few YouTube videos. So I have
Okay.
one that I did on sleep a few years ago.
Mhm.
So yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's not very active yet, but that would be easy for me to get up and running again or add to it.
If you would like to put your YouTube channel in the chat, you can.
Ooh.
You know what that is? I'm going to turn the comments on stage, and then you can pop that in, and it's kind of, I wonder if I can move that. I don't know. It won't let me move that little thing. But anyway, if you put your comment in the comment area, it'll pop up on the screen. Find it. And if you
Okay.
can't find it right away, we will send out some information after we do the recording.
Okay. I found it. Now I just have to find that.
Find the other thing. Right.
Okay.
Okay. And that's something that is often overlooked, because this is the other thing. I don't usually tell people that they're going to have to spend a lot of money. It's more of a time investment than it is a money thing. Until before any time, okay, I am going to give you my opinion because it's my show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before you spend money on anything, think about what is that activity going to yield. So if you wanted to test something out, test it on a free version of whatever it is, whether it's YouTube or anything else. See if you like the activity, see if you like the format, and you can always add dollars behind it, but make sure that it's working for you and it's something that you can do consistently.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of testing out software, of testing groups, all of those things before I say, oh yeah, I want to, here's my credit card. And I think if you do that, that can make things a lot simpler for you. Plus, you're layering an activity that you like. So
Mhm.
you mentioned you go to the gym with your daughter, with your granddaughter.
Yep.
And so look at something that you're already doing,
Mhm.
and then you can pop that in. And I think that is a way to, help you start to rewire,
Yes.
reframe how you're doing it. But again, you're making a date, you're doing something specific, and
Mhm.
know that you can say, I'm going to try. When you started with your sleep program, you probably didn't say, oh, well, I'm going to do this forever and ever and ever. I'm giving myself this amount of time to see if it works.
Yep.
And that's what I want to say too with marketing. Do something, experiment with it. Does it work? Does it need to have some adjustment? And the word that came up today as I was coming back from my exercise was calibrate.
Calibrate.
Calibrate. And now, being a scientist, here we both are thinking about this. We both have this love of how does stuff go together. So
Yeah.
if you think about calibration, um, they calibrate your car, they calibrate the wheels, they calibrate sound, you calibrate your monitor. Okay, back in the old days when I was doing a lot of print, we had we had these devices that we would place on our monitor so we could adjust them so that the color we were seeing on the monitor was the same colors we would see in print.
Oh,
Now
wow.
that's not there's still places where they do that, but that's not quite the rage as it was then. But think about this. If you try something and you need to adjust it, that's calibration.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
have you ever been in your car when something was like a little bit off? Well, your marketing can be a little off, but
A little
maybe
off.
with a little tweak, suddenly it's working smoothly, and it
Right.
should smoothly. Oh,
So it's making those tweaks instead of the new shiny object where you toss everything and just try something completely new, which
oh my
is
God.
my tendency. Oh, this looks like a new cool tool. I think I'll use this instead.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It this is I mean, those of if there's anybody out there who isn't neurospicy, I applaud you, but all of my friends are. And so we kind of get together and say, okay, so what did you find that's helping you not play squirrel?
Yeah. I often
Yeah.
feel like I have to put blinders on like a horse. You know, the horse has the blind, like I often say to
Yes.
myself, okay, Diane, just focus. You're doing this one thing right now. Just focus.
There is actually, and I cannot remember the name of it. There is a tablet that I know that a couple people in this world use. Rachel Herron is one of them because she said, I have to. If I have if I have access to any of my social feeds or my students,
Mhm.
I'm doing that instead of writing. So there's ways you can set up if you're on a computer, you can
Mhm.
turn off your alerts. If you're writing
Yep.
on a
Yep.
tablet, turn off your alerts. If, when we're time blocking, which
Mhm.
is really a brilliant thing to do, you can say, okay, for that period of time, this is what I'm working on.
Mhm.
I'm not working on anything else. I'm not answering the phone. Yes, does your husband do this too? He manages to not talk to you, and then when you're doing the thing, that's when he comes to see if he can get an answer from you about something?
Except that when I'm in my home office, which is in a spare bedroom upstairs and the door is closed, if
Yes.
unless there were, smoke or fire, he's not coming in, no.
Oh my gosh. Well, so if you do have anybody else in your area, those of you who are watching, and you need to have quiet time, undisturbed, even if you aren't listening to music, stick headphones on. People think you're listening to music, but you might not be. And there
Mhm.
are some people who are on the spectrum of autism
Yeah.
and they just have noise canceling
Yeah.
headphones on. Nothing, no
No music.
music is coming through there. They're just eliminating the distractions. And
Yeah.
I know that if there's stuff going on, my brain immediately can find it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna schedule. You're going to choose video will be the thing that you start with,
Yeah.
and then what else might be getting in your way? Else do you think is giving you some hesitation?
I think it's because I'm always waiting for the perfect time when I have a huge big block of hours and I never do. I don't mind focusing for 3 like, once I get really, really focused, I can stay focused, but I keep thinking, yeah, as soon as I have a 3 or 4 hour block of time, I'll get a
Mhm.
lot done. But that time doesn't come.
No, it does not. And I very much the same. Um, and you know what? I have friends who have who've written books in very small bursts. My friend Amber Starfire, she's now written 2 or 3 memoirs. I know she's done at least 2, and she did it while she was working full time, single parent. And she said, "Okay, I've got 15 minutes," and so she wrote a page, and that was good enough. But because she did that every single day,
Wow.
by the end of the first year, she had her first book out. And then she did it again. And I have other friends who say, I have this much time, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And so when you are allowing yourself not to have to do it in big chunks, but you may choose, there might be a day in the month that you can spend more time. You have permission. I'm giving you permission to use it the way that you want to, or maybe if you're learning a new way to use video, you might invest some extra time.
It's interesting. I realize that I have 2 master's degrees, so I've written a gazillion papers. And the way I got them all done was if you give me a deadline, then just before the deadline, I will find 7, 8, 9 hours. Now, I won't sacrifice my sleep. I don't stay up all night and write all-nighters. But
Right.
if a paper's due on Monday, that weekend, nothing else is getting in the way. And I will spend the Saturday and Sunday. I think the problem as an entrepreneur quite often is we don't have externally imposed deadlines.
Well, what's a way that you might solve that? If you know that you, as Gretchen Rubin says, there are people who need an external accountability partner.
I do have accountability partners. Yes, you're absolutely right. And that has made a world of difference because if I have to meet with my accountability group on, Monday at 3 and let them know what I've done, I make sure I've done it. But yeah, that's a big thing for me. If there's no deadline, it's never done. I always feel like it's not good enough yet. So I work hard at it, but I won't
Yes.
finish it until I'm forced to.
Well, and that's also part of our neurospicy.
Yeah, it
We
is. It
have
is.
we have not everybody has it to the same degree, but there's this thing called time blindness, which
Mm,
means we think everything is, instantaneous. And oh, it's only going to take me, like today again, I allowed time, I thought, to set some things up
sure.
for the streaming, and I said, "Oh, this should only take me about half an hour."
Hmm.
Well, yeah, it didn't just take me half an hour. And I now know I'm going to, and I didn't want to work on it on Sunday because I'd had a full week.
Sure.
And so, that happens. But now that you and I both know that, that's something that we can choose to, we can make an amendment with that.
Hmm.
And that's something that is important to recognize if that sounds like you, because it sounds like the two of us as well.
Yes, it
That
is.
Yeah, I mean it just does. That if you know that about yourself, then how can you adjust so that you're getting what you need? So you need an external partner.
Hmm.
That's also something that I do. And
Hmm.
that's part of why working with a mentor when you have a project that you're trying to accomplish, but it's not as easy as pie,
Mm-hmm.
then having somebody where you say, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, and here's when I'm going to get it done. So, I already said, you got to stick it on your calendar. That's number one. You need to know that you're going to only give yourself so much time to work on it, and you can always get better. So you get over that, I have to be perfect. And as you start, I don't know about you, but was there ever a time that you stopped writing or speaking for a period?
COVID, I stopped speaking. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
there would have been a time. Writing, no, I've always been very creative. I've always got notebooks in every room of the house and nice pens, and I'm very much paper and pen still. So I don't even need electronics. Uh, but yeah, no, just in COVID, all of a sudden we were all hermits. I mean, I was still being a psychotherapist, but I was doing that on Zoom. And
Yeah.
it's interesting when you mention, appointments. I'm thinking maybe that's why I find it relatively easy as a therapist, because I see the same people at the same times every week. Monday morning, I see this person at 9 and this person at 10. I have to be
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my gosh. You do. And you know what? For this is something else. And this goes with how our brains are wired. That when you have some regularity, it becomes easier because you're not having to think. I mean, like I eat the same thing almost every morning for breakfast. I have protein powder in my coffee and a banana because I know I'm going to go exercise, so I've got enough fuel, but I'm
Yeah.
not having a heavy stomach. But
Yeah.
because I don't have to think about it, and I always make sure I've got the supplies ready,
Yes.
then I can just walk in the kitchen, heat up my coffee because I do cold brew. So I heat up my coffee, I do the thing. I usually empty the dishwasher while my coffee is getting warmed up,
Yep.
and then I don't have to think about it.
Right.
And that's why habits are so fundamental
Yeah.
to having success.
Yes, I totally agree. I recommend James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, to everyone. It was life-changing.
Oh,
Small changes.
yes. And not only his book, but I've got another one. I have BJ Fogg.
DJ Fogg. Yeah. Tiny
Yeah,
habits.
Tiny Habits is my favorite.
Yeah. I love
And what was so funny for me, because I'm in Weight Watchers and I have been since 2017. And I was very, very successful when we were using his principles. And then they switched the program a little bit. And because my brain, not only do I need tiny habits, I also need that new stuff, new stuff, new stuff. And so they haven't changed the program in a while. But you know this about yourself. You
Yep.
know that habits help you. You recognize now that setting an appointment with yourself is legit.
Yep.
Using an accountability buddy is also very important for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can do those things. Um, anything anything else that seems like it might be maybe needs a little tune up, maybe needs a little calibration. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you because you
Okay.
said during COVID, your speaking went down. How did you warm that back up?
I started doing more offering to speak online and applying for podcasts. And a Facebook group looking for speakers or something. And I just started on a whim, just applying for different speaking engagements. I mean, unpaid at that point, but just, appearing on podcasts and being interviewed on people's shows. And yeah, I started applying for those and it really picked back up again. And then, the in-person speaking has also picked up the last couple of years. A lot of
Do
it's
you,
word of mouth. I live in a fairly small community and I'm well known. So,
okay. Do you think that's transferable for getting the word out about your book?
oh, probably. Yeah.
Aha! Two birds with one stone, my dear, because you are a whole person. You're a psychotherapist, you're an author, you're a speaker. So, am I supposed to just get one part of you, or am I going to get the whole shebang?
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, it's true. I'm laughing, thinking you're so right.
Well, it does help to be the queen bee of book
Yes, the
clubs.
queen bee.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. And does that make sense? Because now you're layering all of those things, and they all are working in sync.
It does make sense. And I think that would help me narrow my focus somewhat in terms of what I am putting out there on social media. If I focus really on the book for a while, then that'll help me figure out what to say. I mean, I did do before the book came out, about a year before the book came out, I was already, of course, writing it. And so I
Yeah.
did post, carousels on LinkedIn, and I got lots of great feedback. But then, I stopped doing it because I got busy and
Oh, guess what? I'm going to make another suggestion.
I
See what
revived
you'll.
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
your podcasts, your podcasts, any of your social posts that are relevant. Not only can you repurpose them, you can add to them and say, "Oh, if you like this, you'll like that." And by the way, as I've been exploring this and as I was writing the book, I learned XYZ in addition to that. So now you're not always having to go, "Oh, I've got to do a post. Oh, I've got to do it." Oh, do you have a newsletter?
Yeah, I haven't done a newsletter, but
Oh, well, you may or may not want to do that, but
mhm.
just something to think about. What I would really strongly suggest is think about things that you're already doing that you like.
Mhm.
How do they fit in to your overall goal of getting this book out and getting more people to recognize if they got better sleep? What's the biggest benefit to getting more sleep?
Oh gosh, sleep is the foundation of mental, physical, and emotional health. Don't get me started. Yeah, more energy, more clarity, less illness. We know that sleep has restorative functions that research hasn't even discovered yet. So, as far as I'm concerned, getting enough sleep is a number one priority to be a healthy, overall, holistically healthy person.
Now, is that not the most compelling reason for you to want to share about your book?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Makes a difference.
if you keep that as your why in front of you,
Hmm.
that will help you on those days when you're going, "Ugh, I don't want to do that," or ick, or "Oh, it's not about me," because it's not about you. It's about what you learned, and it's coming from your heart,
Oh, yeah.
and you want to help people.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Unbelievable.
still have such joy every morning when I wake up and I don't feel like I'm in a coma. And I most of the time now wake up just before the alarm even goes off, and that still surprises me. That still surprises me.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 or
Wow.
6 days a week, I wake up before the alarm even goes off, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Wow, who would have thought?"
exactly. It's a very different feeling because now you are inhabiting your body
Yeah,
and you have more agency,
yeah,
and there's less things that are going to throw you off balance because you have what you need. You
yeah.
took care of yourself. If there was one population that you haven't yet tapped into, who might that be?
If I were to narrow down the people that I really love to work with, it would be women in their 50s and 60s who are experiencing changes due to aging and are tired for a variety of reasons, not necessarily just sleep. They could be,
Yeah.
nutritionally deficient in other ways, but that's a population. But I think after everything they've done, looking after families and nurturing people, a population of women over 50 are people who really need to feel comfortable focusing on self-care, and they often don't because it feels selfish.
Ooh, that's a okay, that's a biggie. So if you were going to brainstorm how you might connect with more people like that, why don't you throw out some ideas? Let me hear from you. Where do you think you would find people who fit that description?
I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, but I think a lot of them are on Facebook because they're looking at pictures of their, grandchildren and stuff. They say the younger generation left Facebook because the old ladies are on it, but I'm thinking, okay, I'm one of those old ladies on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I am too. And okay, so Facebook might be somewhere. Where else might you find people who would fit that description?
Well, in person, I'm in women's networking groups because business women who join networking groups are often at least 40, if not 50 or older.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And where in your daily life would you encounter people? I'm thinking of a big one that you mentioned earlier.
I'm drawing a blank.
Something you said you do on Wednesdays?
Oh, go to the Y. Yeah, I do. I go to the gym.
Mm-hmm. It's really funny when you start to think about, well, okay, now you're going to be a worker bee and you're looking for those flowers that
Okay. I love
that
that.
you're going to gather the honey from, or the
Okay.
pollen from that turns into honey. So if you're in your worker bee mode, you have to go out and do a little research. And I know you're good at research. I know for a fact.
Yeah.
So think about who knows that you've written this book, who doesn't know who's written the book, who doesn't know that you've written the book, and who can benefit. And where would you likely find those folks? So you've identified some good places to start. And now you can then, so start with the most obvious,
Mm-hmm.
get some traction going there. But then you can, if that sounds good, that's the kind of thing that I work with folks on, is to go deeper. So we keep delving. And you and I know this already, but you and I both like using tools. And so we do research and then we think, okay, so if I found that out, I, you know, I wonder if, and start just letting your imagination explore, where else would I find people like that? Do I
Women's
already know
church
people
groups.
like that?
Yeah, women's church groups who get together for coffee once a week.
Oh, and that's probably pretty easy to say, oh, by the way, I would love to come and share with you about what I'm
Yeah.
doing. So the thread that weaves through all of this is, you have a message that you want to share.
Yeah.
You know how to do that. And now we're going to make it fun. You're going to use your calendar, and you're going to say, who do I already know? And where else can I do this? Plus, you're going to repurpose some of your older episodes, recordings, podcasts, and reawaken your network. As our friend Robbie Samuel says, reawaken your network,
Yeah.
and you probably will never let it go dormant again.
No, I won't. Too much trouble to get it going again. I think I learned my lesson. Yeah.
I know.
I'll do it and I'll stick to it this time. But again, I mean, life happened and COVID and everything else. I mean, I did what I had to do at the time, but.
Yeah, I think so. So do you feel like you've got some tools now that you can put into place and that are going to fit into your schedule, into your budget, and also help you grow that awareness that you're so anxious to get out there?
Oh, Judy, this has been so helpful. I have an entire page of notes, and I've got little stars beside some of the things like the YouTube videos and calibrating and, Facebook. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's just overwhelming to think it's just overwhelming to go, I don't even know where to start. And then you ask me these questions that draw me out, and I'm like, of course.
Well, don't you think we get too close to our issues? I mean, you're a psychotherapist. So something that's so obvious to you, I mean, you knew that neurospicy was going on here and I didn't. But isn't that true, that it's really hard for us to see our own superpowers, and it's also really hard to see our own blind spots.
Totally. Oh, absolutely. And that's why we need accountability partners and mentors, because they can help us identify those things and we sort of go, oh yeah, how come I didn't see that? Well, because we don't. We don't.
No, we really, it's nearly impossible to be that hyper aware. I
Yeah.
think it'd probably make us really go crazy if we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No,
Well,
this has been incredibly helpful, Judy.
Diane, since there are people who are watching us live and who will be watching this, how can they get in touch with you?
All
And
right. Well,
I'll put it in the regular chat. Put it in the
okay.
regular chat. Yeah.
Okay. So you've already put my YouTube channel up there. I'll just, YouTube is at, what is it? That's Diane Wolf Speaker. They can also email me. I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay.
And my book is on Amazon, 14 Nights to Better Sleep.
Okay.
It's a Kindle book. I haven't printed it yet, but.
Okay. Oh, and let me ask a question. So you're planning to do the book in print, and any other, oh, I just did it in the wrong place. Hold on a second. I have to flip back and forth between,
Yeah.
through the other thing. So the comments, oh, that's where, this is funny. So it's being, go back. I've got, here is YouTube. And then let me get over to the private one. And so okay, which ones did I put up there? So I've got YouTube and speaker, and now I want to get, the email. I didn't get that in there yet. So
yeah.
Second. And do you have the link for your book?
I probably could find that.
I have it up.
I use Amazon.ca, but I know it's also on Amazon.com.
Yeah. Get the linky doodle for that. Oh, and isn't your book on a special right now?
It will be as of June 30th. It's going to be 99 cents. I just have to go in and change the price because I'm joining Robbie's flash book sale thing. Thank you for remembering that. So it'll be on special for 2 weeks at some point. I guess the first 2 weeks of June.
July. Absolutely, yes. And so that, did I still do it? I still did it in the wrong place. Hold on a second. I did it in our thing, and I have to copy it and put it into the comments. All right. I am still getting used to this little puppy. So we've got that one. And I have to go back over here, and I have to go from private chat to public chat. Yeah. Okay. Yes, this is a test. This is a test to see how many places can I try to pay attention to at the same time.
I don't know. I think you're doing great.
Well, I'm doing better than I thought I would. And this is why I didn't drive until I was 29, because I didn't think I could handle all the different parts and pieces. I just did it again, didn't I? I know. I thought that I went to the comments, and I have to go from here to there. Okay, so that one.
There we go.
Okay. So if you're looking at this, it's in the comments area. So we've got 14 Nights to Better Sleep book. And I put that in. Okay, I did it. I still did it in the private chat. Okay, let me grab that. Okay. Go to comments. Seems like they should allow. I know we're so Zoomified that we're thinking, it's just gonna do the thing. Not so much. And let's see, is there one more? Did I get everything or not?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, that is good. So if you have an opportunity for Diane to come be a speaker, I highly recommend you get in touch with her because she's fantastic.
Thank you.
You just got to see a little snippet of that. And she's really easy to work with. I mean, that's a bonus. not all speakers are easy peasy. Some are a little bit of a diva. Men and women can be divas.
Mhm.
So if you want somebody who is going to show up, do what they say they're going to do, over deliver, Diane is the one you want in the room. And she is really smart. She's compassionate. And I just adore her. She's just been a big asset to my life. And I'm so glad we got to meet each other and work together. It's very
Oh,
fun. It's very
Judy,
fun.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Yes, I'm also delighted that we've been working together and getting to know each other. I think as highly of you as you think of me. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and get some coaching today. This has been fabulous.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm just going to share a few things with folks as we wind down a little bit. So let me switch over to my media area. So here's what you need to know if you would like to be a guest on the Buzzworthy Book Power Hour. You're going to fill out a form, and I have usually about 5 complimentary slots per month. But you might want to think about working with me one on one. You can come on and be a guest first and then do that, but let's get acquainted and see how I can help you with your book marketing. And you can just scan, take a picture with your phone right over that queen bee. And I also have something else for you that I think you might enjoy that I do every month. And as I said, Diane's been a guest of mine. So the Buzzworthy Book Bistro takes place on the second Monday of the month on Zoom. And I have guest experts like Diane, and I've had audiobook producers, I've had folks who are really fabulous with creating systems. I had Avital Spivak on, and she is a technical whiz, and she'll help you figure out what kinds of tech you need without making a big investment and going down the wrong path. So if that sounds good to you, I hope that you will connect with me. And you can always find me at buzzworthybooks.com because this is where I hang out. So I've got the power hour. I've got, oops, I just put up the wrong one. Christopher was my first guest. So let me get that one off the screen. You will just go back over here. This guy. This is the one I want on there. That you can connect with me. And if you go to Buzzworthy Books, you will find my blog. You'll find all the things that I do. And like Diane said, if you don't have a plan, you're probably not going to get it done. If you need an accountability partner, that's what I do for you. But as you can see, I really work with you where you are so that you can share your heart centered message with the people who need it most. So thank you so much, Diane. I really,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate having you, with me today. And thank you. Thank you all for being here. And let's get out there and create some buzz for your book.
Sounds
Thank you.
great.
Okay.